call this meeting, the regular board meeting to start, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Brandon, where's Brandon? Brandon, if you'd come down and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please, seeing as you're getting a plaque today.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Take your time, Brandon. We got hours. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brandon. Good job. Begin. Roll call, please, Diane.
Director Evans?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Here.
Director Caldwell looking at his absence. Director Zanella?
Here.
Director Martin?
Here. Okay, I need a motion to adopt the agenda for the regular meeting.
Move.
Second?
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Introduction of new employee with a name we all know.
Bridget Anderson, Human Resources Technician, and I'd like to introduce Mike Preston. He joined the district on Monday, May 19th, in the position of Systems Construction Worker 1, and he's filling a vacancy from a recent resignation earlier this year. He joins us from the city of Carlsbad, where he's worked for the last 6 years. He is married to Christy. They enjoy going to the desert, camping, and spending time with his friends. I feel like you did.
His
for them.
Well, that's interesting.
Not her.
Nice.
Heck with her friend.
They're joint friends.
So, we had somebody resign from this wonderful job and opportunity?
Well, yeah. He was stolen back, actually.
Oh,
Oh,
a theft.
It was a theft.
and
Stolen. So we stole him
Mike,
instead.
where did we steal you from?
Carlsbad,
Carlsbad, where you worked in?
construction maintenance for 6
Great.
years, and water departments.
Great.
Great.
Try and keep him so they don't steal him back.
That's my plan.
Any other questions?
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you.
Your wife's friends are probably okay. Okay. Does the whole board want to come down? Bring the whole board down.
Brandon,
Size.
Brandon, why don't you come on up?
Take the size you need. Yeah, Brandon, take your time. There we go. Okay. This is a certificate from the state of California Department of Health, stating that you are now authorized to operate and supervise the operation of a water distribution system, and is hereby granted the certificate for water distribution operator. Thank you very much.
Great, D3.
Congratulations. How long have you been with this district?
6.5.
So, is this your first certificate?
No.
It's your second certificate. Well, that's great. You're doing a great job, and if we stand around, let's get a bigger picture. We know we're closer, folks. We do wide angle lens.
Yeah. Thank you. We have to have food to keep them.
Yeah, one for the bags in the back, but that's not food.
They were eyeing the bags of fertilizer back there.
Okay, now we're having a presentation by Pam Meissner.
If we have, I'll have Lisa introduce them and introduce the topic, if you wouldn't mind.
Great.
Lisa?
Mr. President and members of the board, we have some very special guests here today from the Water Conservation Garden at Cuyamaca College, a little bit of a local celebrity. If you would like to come up, we have John Bolthouse, he's the executive director,
Hey, John.
and Pam Meissner, she is the, you are educational director, also known as Miss Smarty Pants. I tried to get her to wear a costume today, but it was a no-go. But we have some pictures.
Miss
So-
Marty
Oh, good.
Plants.
Miss Smarty Plants, yes.
Oh,
Did I say
darn
that?
it.
Oh, I said
Better,
pants,
huh?
Miss Smarty Plants. So-
Well, we had pictures.
Great. So without further ado,
Great.
Well, thank you, directors and General Manager Lamb. Thank you for having us. I think this is our first time to actually present to you folks, and it's really an honor to come and speak to the water districts. And I have to tell you, this is a fun crowd already. It's very, very impressive, and I also want to commend you for your demonstration garden. It's very impressive outside, and congratulate you for that. I wanted to take the opportunity, just the first couple of slides, just to kind of introduce the Water Conservation Garden, just a little bit of the background about us.
We got a slight problem, they're on their way.
Slight problem, okay, well, I
Figure
can
out
wing
what's
it, I
going
can
on.
speak extemporaneously.
Yeah.
So, well, if you haven't been down to the Water Conservation Garden, if you're not familiar with us, we are down right next to Cuyamaca College. We're approximately 6 acres of a demonstration garden, botanical garden. We have a staff of about a dozen professional staff members and a board of directors of 12. We are a nonprofit organization. There we go.
Thank you.
You have a board of directors of 12?
Yes,
and a
sir.
staff of 6?
No, 12. We have 12 members of our board and 12 members of our staff. And
Board
about
member
80.
for every staff member, that's
Yeah, exactly. Everyone gets to,
over-managing.
everybody gets to supervise somebody, so. But really, the core of our success is our volunteer corps. And we have approximately 80 volunteers at the Water Conservation Garden. This is our mission, but to encapsulate it in just a couple of terms, it's more beauty, less water. That's kind of our slogan. And just like you folks did here at your demonstration garden, it's just to convey to the public, here are the ways that you can create a beautiful garden at your home, at your HOA, at your commercial property that don't require a lot of water. And you folks are really doing a great job on that. Just a few bullet points about us. I mentioned where we are. We're a nonprofit. We were actually founded back in the 90s by a Joint Powers Authority, a group of water agencies. OTI and Helix got together with Cuyamaca College and said, let's create a demonstration garden. And what resulted was our 6-acre garden that opened to the public in 1999. We welcome about 20,000 plus folks through the garden every year, but we reach over approximately 100,000 people, and that's through our outreach, bringing school children into the garden, and you'll hear more about that in just a moment. We have approximately 600 folks, members of the garden, and they're from all over the region, including up here in North County. And I mentioned about the team that makes it possible. I mentioned how big we are, our 6-acre facility. We have various thematic gardens and exhibits at the garden that tell the water conservation message. 800 plus different plant specimens. We are a demonstration garden, but we're also a botanical garden. And we also make our venue available for events. And by the way, this is an open invitation to your board. If you'd ever like to come down and have a personalized guided tour, if you want to hold one of your meetings down there, committee meeting, whatever, you're certainly welcome to come down and see us. And finally, we have a award-winning education program, both for our youth and for our adults. And that's a great segue to introduce Pam Meisner and Miss Smarty Plants to talk about our education program.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. That is, today I got to wear big girl clothes, but that's usually what I wear every day. And what we do is we inspire kids to be our next set of Earth heroes and actually change the Earth. So I have 5 Earth heroes, and the kids come in and they learn about water conservation, they learn about making a difference in the world, and then they go home and they kind of change their parents to make those changes as well. So this past year, I'm very excited to say that we saw Miss Smarty Plants saw over 55,000 kids. And they're not just elementary kids. As you can see, we have high school kids, we have special ed kids that come in. Where's my other picture? Let me just go back to this. And we, what we do is we make the garden available to all children, all adults. And we also go out to schools and do school assemblies. We do public fairs. We do all kinds of things. This year, we were at the Kids Fest. We were at the San Diego Science Foundation down at the stadium. And this year, we're really, really proud because our program won the Governor's Award, the GILO Award this year for education. And so we are pretty stoked about that. So the reason why we're here today is that we reached out to Vallecitos to work with us. We work with San Marcos High School, and we created an ag program for their ag department on ways to save water, what the future is going to. And we worked with you guys. We also worked with John Deere for their high school program. And so what Lisa was able to do was to give that program 2 rain barrels. And so that's really kind of why we are here today, is to show you this great partnership that we had with you guys up here. And the kids learned just so much. As you can see, there's Lisa presenting the rain barrels. And then there's one of your directors who isn't here today, but was there as well. This is our educator who came up. Her name is Tamara Michaels, and she works with us at the garden, and she also did this program. This was our very first high school program for the agriculture department, and we're hoping to continue it through next year because the high school was so grateful and impressed that we were able to work with them. So here are some of what the students were doing. We had a 5-month program, and every month we would talk about something different, whether it was fertilizers, whether it was water saving, containment, whether it was when to grow plants, crop rotation, all of those different things. And we have that curriculum available for you if you'd like to see it. But these are just some of the ideas that the kids came up with to irrigate, to use efficient irrigation. And the kids actually did all of this work. So we're really excited. And then these are our future Earth Heroes that you're looking at right here. These are the kids that have been working in the program, and that we have heard that 3 of these kids are going to go into water management degrees at San Marcos Community College. So we are making an impact. This is just some of their garden. Kind of looks familiar, doesn't it? And this is what they did in the front of their school. They took out turf and replaced it with drought tolerant. And then this is our presentation. And we were so excited to have all those people there. On the left is Ron Gaby, and he is the high school teacher. He told us that this was the very first program that anybody anywhere has funded or helped his kids out with. So this was the very first time that they had any extra help, and their school through this program, got to come to our garden and visit our garden and learn about all the different ways to save water there. So there they are, hard at work. Our next generation of Earth Heroes, brought to you by the Water Conservation Garden and Miss Smarty Plants. And there they are, just so excited. These kids really learned a lot. Actually, one of them is designing a water treatment irrigation system that he wants to sell when he gets older.
Wow.
And so here we are. And I just want to thank you for your time and your effort. And Tom, thanks for coming out. I know you're a busy guy, but thanks for coming out because it was an extremely important program to that school. And we're hoping that next year you'll partner with us again and help us continue that program. So thanks a lot. Before I go, I have a pack of Smarty Plants. See, for you guys. These are milkweed seeds, and the reason why they're milkweed seeds is that we need to continue the conservation of the monarch butterfly. The monarch butterfly migration population has diminished 90% over the last 3 years. So I'm giving each one of you guys one of these, and I have some for all of you guys if you want them, to help with that as well. So thanks a lot, John.
Quick question for Ms. Smarty
Sure.
Plants. The monarch butterfly, I watched a special on that.
Pardon?
2 weeks ago.
Oh.
On the monarch.
She watched a special?
I watched
Oh,
the
you did?
special.
Uh-huh.
And, the 3 generations it takes to go to Mexico and the 3 generations it takes to come back. I was very interested. So why do you see the decline of the monarch butterfly? It's not because of that plant.
No, well, this is one of the reasons. They say that there's 3 reasons, and we've been working with scientists and biologists all over the country to figure out what the deal is. One of them is the lack of milkweed, of the milkweed plant. Monarchs don't just migrate from the west side of Canada all the way down to Mexico. It's always on the east coast as well. And what happened is in the Midwest, milkweed's a weed. It's a beautiful weed, but it's a weed. And when they were planting, they were clearing out acreage and acreage of milkweed plant. So that is one of the reasons. Another is climate change. And another is the use of pesticides. So but it's a 90% decrease over the last 3 years. So how many of you are going to be Earth heroes today and take these seeds from Ms. Martin?
All of us.
All right.
All of us.
Bring it up.
Yeah.
We give all this stuff to our plant lady.
Oh, thank you.
And I think you'll also notice the Encina, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, the Encina product
Yes.
goes in there, so I know Kevin should be happy with that as
Well,
well.
thank you very much, Ms.
Thank you very much.
If I could, just a couple of comments in closing. Again, thank you for having us. And by the way, the reason why we brought up the butterflies and the milkweed is we just did open a butterfly pavilion at the Water Conservation Garden. Now, what does that have to do with water conservation? We feature plants that are native to Southern California and that are drought tolerant, with the idea of educating and promoting the idea amongst homeowners to plant these types of plants that are beautiful and attract butterflies that don't require a lot of water. So that's that. Finally, I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity for partnering with Vallecitos. This is really a pilot program, this ag program with the school of San Marcos here, and we'd love the opportunity to partner with you in the future. We are trying to spread out beyond East County. We're getting on the coastline down in South Bay and also with North County. So thank you for the opportunity. Come down and see us if you would. We
I
appreciate
have a
it.
question for you.
Yes, sir.
And thank you, you cleared up. I know we had an invitation to go to that, but after reading it, I had no idea what it was about. Now I do. So if you have these presentations before, then we know more about it. But anyhow, explain more about your organization. How is it funded? How much do the different entities contribute? You have a very large board, so I assume that's why they're all contributing members financially.
They are, and actually, our board of directors is a very young body. I mentioned the JPA that founded the Water Conservation Garden back in the 90s. The JPA actually grew in subsequent years to include San Diego County, or the San Diego County Water Authority, the City of San Diego, and Sweetwater Authority as well. So it actually grew. Long story short, about 4 years ago, the JPA said, we don't want to be in the business of running a botanical garden. We don't have the expertise. Let's contract with a group called the Friends of the Water Conservation Garden, which took it on. It's one of the reasons I came on board as the executive director, to transition into an independent 501c3. To answer your question, Director, we got most of our funding currently, approximately 65% of our funding is from those water agencies. We are looking for additional partners, but 65% of our approximately $900,000 annual budget comes from those water agencies, the JPA members. We also get it through membership, through sales in our gift shop, rental of our facilities for events, parties, et cetera, and then contributions, which are starting to certainly pick up.
And what is your annual budget for the 6 acres?
About $900,000. Yeah, $900,000. Yeah.
$900,000 a year.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Well, I would like to say my first visit was last year, and El Cajon seemed a long ways to go, but I went down there to the Water Authority's visit and immediately became a member. It is not what you think of as a conservation garden, because they have selections of plants from tiny to large, which is one of the challenges of growing a garden, is to figure out what that plant's gonna look like as it's larger. They had composting, they had grass selections, they had wonderful things that you can walk on and touch and feel as to what kind of pavement and hardscape you'd like to use, and I was totally blown away. I did get to see you as Miss Smarty Plants, and she's about 10 times more exciting than she is now. So it's very, I mean, she barely touches the ground. The gift shop is amazing. Yes, I did buy stuff there, Hal.
I'm surprised.
And I've contributed since, and although it seems a far way to go, it is an amazing day trip for any of you to take. And I'm so impressed. You were just building had started the butterfly pavilion, and I understand you got like 6,000 visitors when it opened in April, and it's just an amazing, it's a real gift for anybody to go see the butterflies. But
Thank
you have an amazing facility, and just following it online is incredible. But I do hope that we can put this on agenda at some time and find ways to interact with them, because they do
Wonderful. Thank you.
a really nice job.
We would love to host you guys down there for a special day.
When are the butterflies in this area, or in your area?
Well, we are very fortunate because we have butterflies the entire butterfly season, which is April through the end of September, unlike the Wild Animal Park, who only has them for 3 weeks. And we have, did I say that out loud? And we have native butterflies, so butterflies that you will actually be able to get in your own yard. So when you go into our facility, it's a closed-in 600 square foot vivarium. You will see beautiful flowers in full bloom all the time, and that is something you can replicate in your own yard, because most of them are drought tolerant, and you can also create a habitat, just like you did outside.
Okay, now see,
Mr. Hernandez?
so you said that the Wild Animal Park only has butterflies for 3 weeks and you have them for like 4 months. Now, do you,
Why is that?
yeah, why is that? Why do they show up at your place so you keep them longer?
Well, the Wild Animal Park takes an aviary and changes it into a butterfly vivarium for a 3-week period. And they bring in lots of exotic butterflies from South America and things like that. You have to have a huge permitting process to do that. But we want to promote drought-tolerant plants and the beauty that you can have with that. So our local butterflies are around for that entire period of time. So we have them from April all the way through the end of September.
And so you have classes or information about how to attract, what to plan to attract butterflies?
We do. We just had Bill Toon from the Eco Life Foundation, and he is a butterfly expert, actually, and has led tours down to Mexico to see the beautiful monarchs. He just came in and did a class for marvelous monarchs for us. And we online and also in your brochures, you will see our class list. It changes every 3 months. We have anything from planting on a hillside, learning about butterflies, recreating a butterfly garden, to making tamales. So we kind of cover all the bases there.
In defense of the Wild Animal Park, I have to say their elephant season is longer than yours.
Yes.
You got us there.
And I work there, and I love them as well. But I just want to say in closing, this program that you did a small part in helping, it was absolutely vital. And to see the excitement through those kids, and also to see the changes in their mind about, oh my gosh, I didn't know that you even had a water management class, and how can I, make a difference, and for Ron, the teacher there. So we hope that next year we can call on you and you guys will help us out again. We really appreciate it.
You've come at an opportune time to ask a couple of questions. We're just going through our budget.
Oh.
Which is opportune. Matter of fact, I think on the 10th, we're having a review of the budget. What does it cost to become one of your sustaining groups? You have different levels, I assume?
Well, it's interesting you asked this, Director Martin, because our JPA is going to be approaching some of the other water agencies to come on board, reaching out to you on a more personal level, so look for a contact. But just to answer your question up front, there are all sorts of opportunities, whether it's fee-for-services, and we're happy to work with your staff on, continue expanding those, corporate membership, and we do have a special water agency membership opportunity for you, and partnership on some of our classes and events. So there's a wide menu of opportunities that based on your budget and your inclination to be a part of our programs. Would love just to be considered for that and just start the conversation.
Well, just so you know, if we don't start it tonight,
Yeah.
it'll be another year before it gets started.
Is that right?
You got 6
Well, I can
days.
throw out
So
some
you
numbers
got
if you'd
opportune
like.
time to bring it up right
Well,
now.
yeah, so what did water agency,
Well, we start at the $5,000 level, so I don't know if that scared you away or if I just undersold myself, but.
Scares Tom, doesn't scare us.
took my breath away.
Yeah. So it just depends on the level of involvement you'd like to be a part of. So
But $5,000 is a,
that's the corporate membership, the beginning of the corporate membership.
May I say you would be happy to accept less rather than none?
Well, yes, I'll think about that, and yes, we would, yes, absolutely.
Any amount helps.
The important part for us is we want to increase the engagement with the water agencies throughout San Diego County, and we'd love to start with you folks here and expand on the current relationship, definitely.
This has been a great partnership, and besides, you got Miss Smarty Pants.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that worth $5,000? I'm thinking
Next time, wear the hat.
Now that they're asking for money, can we accept gifts?
Yeah. We just have to.
As long as they're under
Thank you very
55.
much.
Really appreciate it.
Should be under. Thank you very much.
Please do.
I think this might be for Dennis, actually. Is the Hans and Margaret Doe, is that the same gentleman from Aqua that is from Vista area? It is.
I think there's an endowment, most likely, that comes from, supports it.
It just says it was compliments, and I connecting it with that.
Yeah, that's the same.
Yeah.
one.
It is the same person.
Yeah, Hans and Margaret. He was the board member at VID.
At VID.
Yeah,
Thank you.
for many,
That's
many
who the
years.
That's who the breakfast is named after.
That's who the breakfast is named after as well.
Hi.
He was one of the founding members of VID, along with Stanley Marr, who was one of the founding members of Vallecitos, back at San Marcos.
Okay.
They had a long history together.
Next would be oral communications. I don't see any speaker slips, though. Anybody wanting to speak? I guess not. So we'll take care of that. Notice to the public. We don't need to. Consent calendar. Need an approval for the minutes.
Going to approve?
I'll second it, but I have a couple questions on the warrant slips.
Okay, second and comment. That's excellent. Excellent. Glad to hear that.
Yeah?
Go ahead, shoot away.
Okay, so the first one here, and I'll preface this with it, if this is an HR matter, then we don't answer this question, but about a third of the way down on page number 19, it's categorized under self-improvement program. Do you happen to see that?
I think Dennis keeps trying to send me to.
The self-improvement program is basically a tuition reimbursement program.
Okay. Okay.
Explain that program?
Yeah.
The program itself, each year there's an amount put into the budget, and employees can receive up to $2,500 per fiscal year, and until we reach the amount that's in the budget. And then the program's basically out of funds.
It can be self-improvement for taking a certification, it can be for a class, or actually going to Palomar or to a university. If they go to Palomar, and let's say they want the AA in water technology or wastewater technology, the way they go about it is they have to get their supervisor's approval first of the full program. They can't just randomly take different classes, it has to be towards a specific program. And then on an annual basis, they have to get a B, I believe, a B or better on the grade, and they'll, for books plus up to the amount of tuition.
What do we typically budget annually for that program?
I believe last year we did 7,000, and in the 14-15 proposed budget is 10. Because it's caught on lately.
And let me ask a question about, maybe it's Dennis, maybe. I have seen on there in the past, computers. And I understand that if you take a course, maybe a computer's nice to have, but does that relate to job efficiency here? Are there people that take their work home on computers with them, that they're supposed to as part of their job description?
That's actually a computer purchasing program the district has.
Right.
We will actually front the money for them, then it's a payroll deduction, pay them back. So that's not part of the self-improvement.
That's not part of education?
No, it's not part of
That's just
education.
if someone wants a computer at their house?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
And I'm
It's a payback.
curious, why do we do that with computers, we don't do it with cars?
With cars,
Yeah, why do we do it with a computer?
we do view it as something that they do if they need it to work or they do something at home. It's just another tool for them to use.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just been a program we've had. They actually pay plus interest on it, so.
No,
we're not-
I understand, no, and I understand there's no rate back, but it's just my curiosity is
Sure.
to, someone that maybe doesn't, they just want a computer at home for whatever reason, it doesn't have to correlate with their
Specific
district
job duty, no,
So you could do it with cars if you wanted to.
probably. Probably wouldn't go over well.
might do, I don't know, I'm just.
I would like to buy
curious.
a car.
Go right ahead.
No.
One
Pay back if
computer?
your interest rates are less than that.
You have to be full-time.
Yeah, I have one other item too, and this is, again, probably just because it's, I'm relatively new, but on page 20, on the top part of the page here, annual dam fees of $23,000.
Mhm.
What are those?
The Division of Safety of Dams, we have to pay an annual inspection and permit fee for South Lake and for Mar Reservoir, and it's based upon the height of the dam, on cost per foot. It's an annual charge. And it is
And that's
going
for-
up.
that's for the inspection every year?
It's inspection, it is going up, it's gone up every year.
Wow. Sounds like a good business to be in.
Is that something we're pawning off on the city with part of their lease when they make the park in?
If
Why are we paying for it? They're the ones that are gonna be using
If
it.
it's associated with the dam, the district's responsible for it. If it's associated with maintenance of the rest of the lake, the city's responsible for it.
That's all I have on the warrants list. unless-
Good questions. I haven't had warrant questions in a while. Missed it. Keeps John on his toes. Okay. Moving to action
We need to
items.
approve
We need
the
to
Oh,
consent.
approve the consent calendar. Need a motion?
Got one?
And a second? Roll call.
Director Evans?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Snell?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes. Action items. 2.1, resolution to approve Encino Wastewater Authority operating budget. Oh, we get to see Tom. Number 2.
Yes, Mr. President and board members, you have before you, starting on page 22, a recommendation from staff to approve Encino Wastewater Authority's budget for the next fiscal year. Encino Wastewater Authority has already approved their budget, but by agreement of the member agencies, each member agency also has to approve by resolution the budget. Our portion of the budget's already incorporated into our own budget, and we're very fortunate and honored to have with us today the general manager and assistant general manager of Encino Wastewater Authority, Kevin Hardy and Mike Steinlich. And Kevin's going to come on up and introduce this to you and answer any questions you might have. So, Kevin, if you want to come on in. Thanks.
Hi, Kevin, as you're coming up, thank you very much. And we did a tour with you about a month ago, and it was fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you for saying so. I also have to say that I think I'm gonna have to add something to my don't follow list. You don't want to follow people with British accents, puppies, or Miss Smarty plants. I'm not sure I can keep up with her. I don't know, I might have left her, but yeah, our fiscal year 2015 budget for the entire enterprise is just a tick under $25 million. About $11 million of that is capital, the other 14, or rather is operating, the other 14 is capital. BWD's share of that is about $5 million, or about 20%. Our operating budget really doesn't have a lot of changes in it this year, except for a few things. We've got our normal changes in personnel expense that are associated with our labor relations contract, which in this fiscal year will be in the third of 3 years, so we'll be in labor relations this year. We've also annualized our new community engagement program. That's something that we did on our tactical plan for this fiscal year, and through a series of quarterly meetings with our board of directors, we've determined that it's an appropriate concept to move forward on. We've been really pleased with its success. We too have a demonstration garden. It does not have a butterfly cage, but I think we should get one. And so we'll work on that. And then the other thing that we're really working on for next year is pure green marketing. Right now, we've come to a point with respect to the fertilizer that we feel like there are some approaches that we can take that can start to drive a little bit more in terms of revenue for the member agencies. So we're going to take have a few experiments. We're learning what we do well as a public entity in terms of fertilizer production, but we're also learning about what we don't do very well, and I think that's going to help us make good strategic decisions moving forward. So the operating budget is, with those changes, pretty much a status quo concept. But our capital improvement program is always looking to develop and improve the facilities that serve the 358,000 citizens that we provide services to. And we have a couple of really 3 areas I want to talk about in capital. The first is our information technology program. This is an area where during periods like we're in right now, where we're kind of after a major plant improvement, where we've made investments in information technology that have allowed us to keep our staffing flat. We have the same number of full-time employees that we had in fiscal year 1998, and we're proud of that. We think that information technology plays a big part in our ability to provide a higher level of services with the same number of people. So as we look forward here to next year, we'll be actually embarking on designing standards and protocols for the development of new systems. So as we bring them on, they're kind of modular. We can plug them in and we don't have disruption across both our SCADA systems that run the treatment plant and communicate with the remote facilities, or in our management information systems that help us make good decisions. So information technology is the first priority area. Secondarily, I think that we're working on a demonstration project that is going to be could be very exciting in the area of fertilizer development. It's a pyrolysis concept. We're working on it's about $1.1 million budget, but about $900,000 of that is a grant that we received from the California Energy Commission. Pyrolysis is the use of heat to break down complex substances into more simple substances. And in our case, what we plan to do is run Pure Green through this pyrolysis device, break it down, knock off all the volatile organic matter, and what we'll be left with is a completely processed fertilizer product. There won't be any more dust. And in the meantime, we've kept all the valuable nutrients, the micronutrients, the macronutrients that agriculturalists, horticulturists are valuable to, will all be there, but a lot of the mass of the pellet will be gone as well. Some of the aesthetic issues related to dust, reheating will be eliminated. And how that happens is that at the high temperature where the pyrolysis occurs, those materials are forced off of the pellet, leaving the nutrients behind, so that we have a fertilizer that instead of being a 6.50 becomes a 9.81 or a 10.91. We'll see what actually the outcome is. But the other thing it does is it drives off of that all that volatile organic matter off in gas form. We condense that gas. It turns into an oil. That oil can be fed into our digesters, and the bugs go crazy. What it really is it's the most recalcitrant of the food that our bugs eat and then make gas with. And so by feeding it back to them, they really, it's like having, if you like steak, it's like getting a filet mignon for the bugs. And so they really respond with additional gas capacity, which helps us move closer to energy independence. I think you all know that we're probably about 75% of the way there, and we hope to be all the way through next year using the pyrolysis oil as part of the process. But that leads me to my third emphasis area for next year, which is our alternative fuel receiving project. We're at about 50% design on that project right now. We're doing a design-build concept. A consortium of Vallecitos Construction and HDR Engineering are designing this facility. They will receive brown grease from around the service area through an exclusive provider, which is Liquid Environmental Services. Liquid Environmental Services will provide a solution for our member agencies, like the businesses here in Vallecitos, who want to not only get rid of the brown grease that tends to clog up your sewer pipes, but also want to do that in a way that contributes to renewable energy and green power solutions here in North County. So we now have a solution for our member agencies and the businesses in the area on that regard. And by receiving that material at the Encino Water Pollution Control Facility and appropriately feeding it into our system, that will produce additional energy, which we're hopeful, if the process works the way we anticipate it should work, that should push us to our functional definition of energy independence, which we're really excited about. This is an initiative that our board started us down in 2008. We've been working on it very diligently ever since, on the basis of initially through our Phase 5 program and now through our Energy and Emissions Strategic Plan, which is in its third year of implementation. So we're looking forward to achieving energy independence and trying to drive a little additional value for our member agencies. I'll also tell you that here over the next 3 or 4 months, that we'll be engaging in a revision of our business plan with our board of directors. And as we go through that process, we'll be meeting with the chief executives and the member agency manager representatives from all of our member agencies to find out if there's a way that NCNA can deliver more value to its member agencies. And we'll look forward to any kind of suggestions that Vallecitos or any of our other member agencies have in that regard. So we feel like we've had a decent year. We really appreciate the support that we received from Mr. Lamb and his staff, especially in the area of pure green marketing. This has been an area where one of the areas that we didn't do as well as we might have hoped to have done with respect to our planning, our initial planning for the marketing of pure green, is with our local communities. And what I can tell you is that the Vallecitos Water District staff, The board of directors have been out front at every step of the way. Mr. Podol has the product in use at the San Marcos Unified School District. And for those of you who understand what it takes to get any kind of fertilizer put on the ground in the school district, you realize that's no small feat. So the fact that you guys have been so supportive of that product has really allowed us to do additional work and really not focus on local communities as much, because you guys are out there doing a lot of the heavy lifting for us, and I can't thank you enough. So we appreciate your support, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
I have a couple talking about the brown grease. How soon do you think is this already in works, or is this already a possibility, or are we collecting it? You said
Yeah, the
there's a
brown
company
grease,
already
yeah.
selected?
The brown grease we're not collecting right now. The technology is very well understood, very well developed. It's in use in a number of peer utilities across California. It's not a very widely used technology, but the underlying biology is really well understood, and it's very well proven technology. We're very confident it'll work, and Mr. Steinlich tells me that it'll be up and operating in the spring.
Okay, and that works hand in hand with our FOG program that we're looking
Yeah,
at?
if you recall back when we went into the program, that was part of what we didn't want to do was come in and say, we're government, we're here to help you.
Right.
What we want to do is walk in and have Corey go through this whole program, and then as he's going through, because the biggest problem a lot of the businesses have is finding somebody reputable, good price, and knowing where it goes. Because right now, I believe City of San Diego is the only one that accepts haulage. So anybody in North County, if they do it, they've got to go all the way south. So the whole intent is, through the exclusive hauler that Kevin's negotiated with, we know these people will take it, it goes to the right place, it generates extra power, it reduces our operating cost. Encina, so it's kind of that loop. So Corey will continue to work with Encina to actually get that point across.
And you mentioned exclusive hauler. I would assume there aren't that many haulers that do it. So was it hard finding an exclusive hauler, or is there only one in the area?
No, it's we went through a selection process, so we put out a solicitation through the San Diego Business Journal and some other places. There actually were 3 or 4 firms that indicated that they would be interested in making a proposal to us, but we ultimately only got 2. And from a guy who spent most of his adult life working in and around wastewater, I can assure you that these people work in an environment that's even more odorous and I'll say difficult than our staff works in. So yeah, interesting concept, but ultimately LES came to the fore for really 3 reasons. First, they're a very reputable company, they're very well funded, and have a strategy to be in this business across the United States. That's the first thing. Second, their staff indicated a willingness to establish a public-private partnership with us. It was a meaningful public-private partnership. Not a deal where the public entity feels like a dog with a homeless guy at the corner asking for nickels. But this is a partnership where they're going to contribute over the course of the first 8 years of the contract through a capital contribution of about $300,000, which is secured by a performance bond, and through tipping fees. They'll contribute about half of the construction costs of the project in exchange for this exclusivity. And they believe that makes sense for them commercially because they can come into North County where they've not been before and develop a market. They've just been through the same kind of concept both in the East Bay area in association with East Bay Mud and also in Orange County where they have, Orange County and Los Angeles County where they have a much broader presence. They've been a little frustrated with their ability to develop markets here in San Diego County. And so this gives them an opportunity to do just that and both expand their business and achieve their commercial goals, but also provide this kind of closed loop system for the businesses in North County while we're again reducing the costs of operation for our member agencies.
Great.
It's a win-win.
So in reality, when this program gets up and running, is there, for instance, I run the Elephant Bar, I own the Elephant Bar in town, I have a grease trap outside, and this truck is gonna show up and suck it all and take it away for free, or are they gonna charge me a minimal amount, or are they gonna pay me a minimal amount?
Yeah,
Do you
that's
know which one of those it might be?
Yeah, this isn't gonna, the brown grease market is not, the kind of the really heavily used grease market is not as lucrative as that yellow grease market. That market, from an energy standpoint, there are so many uses for that, hey, McDonald's fryer grease.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a contract to sell that, they probably for dog food would be my guess. Dog food or makeup, that's kind of the 2 big markets for that stuff. But this is a product that is really viewed as a nuisance product for mostly for restaurant and other kind of owners. And the issue is that it can get in their pipes and all kinds of stuff. So they will pay, and I can't say it's an inexpensive fee, but the restaurant owners will pay to have this material removed. So LES's model is to charge the individual businesses a market rate to remove this material, this nuisance material from their system, whatever it looks like. And I'm sure that their fee will reflect the level of facilities that the particular restaurant they happen in grocery stores, all kinds of different kind of traps, will reflect the kind of business and the kind of systems they have. So I don't really have a good sense of what their pricing is. What I do know is that they've built a very successful business model across the United States, and they don't seem to have any problems getting subscribers once they're able to demonstrate value to those owners.
So the owner would pay something to them to take it away, and then you are gonna pay something, you're gonna buy it from them, or are they?
No, when they come, when the material will come to Encina, then two things will happen. Over the course of every year, as they begin the year, they will make a payment on their capital contribution to Encina, and then they will pay us a tipping fee that varies over the course of the contract. So it's gonna start in the area of 3.5 cents, and it'll escalate through 4.5 cents to the term of the contract. And that'll be on a per gallon basis, so you can do the math. 10,000 gallon truck will pay us, $45 to deliver the material. And we get energy, which is extremely valuable.
Oh, that's really great, that's great, thank you very much. Any other questions?
I have a comment only. Oh,
No, go ahead.
Oh.
Comment away.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say how much I appreciate both our general manager and the directors who are working on the board with you and Encina for the enthusiasm and jumping into these things and truly solving problems in a cooperative and collaborative manner. And kudos to all of you for looking forward and being willing to reach out and Nicole. Really, I'm so impressed. Really impressed.
Mr. Snow?
I did not realize that we had done that much for Pure Green, and I'm sorry Dr. Puddle isn't here to congratulate him, because I think that's a big step as well. And I think your
They even have a
budget's
truck
great.
that
You should
says
just-
Pure Green all over it.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Sinella?
Yeah, I love what you're doing with Pure Green as well. Keep it up. I had a question regarding the budget on your revenue and expense summary. What is the category that's labeled change? What does that change represent?
That's a change of the current year budget,
It's a prior year budget.
I believe.
Change. So that represents the change between the 2014 budget.
Where
and
are
what-
you seeing that, Mr. Sinella?
On page 25.
Page 25.
You are correct.
Yeah, I've got that right here, and I believe I did look at that, and I think that's, it's, 25, so if you look at the top
Okay.
block, and if you check, for instance, Vallecitos, you've got a 1% increase budget over budget. That's not projected, that's because when we do these projections in February, March, let's just say that their accuracy might be rationally questioned.
I understand.
Any other Mr. Hernandez?
Yes, unfortunately, at the Encina facility, I'm not the only crazy one. We are doing things that
That's just here.
Yeah, but that's just here, that's right. But there, I fit right in. I mean, we're doing things there that, and I'm proud to tell you that we have other things coming up that are going to be very beneficial, not only for the Encina and the community, but also for Vallecitos. And we'll just stand by and wait for those to occur. So they're doing a wonderful job over there.
Thank you.
Sorry, I wasn't quite done with it. I just wanted to clarify that, and then just so I can wrap my head around it for this budget and also future budgets, hopefully. How do you determine how much of a percentage of an increase that you're going to be charging an agency? For example, like you mentioned, 1% for Vallecitos. We're by far the lowest of the other agencies. Are we just getting a good deal? Is it based off of how much impact we have?
We're his favorite.
We're your favorite?
Well, first of all, like the fundamentals that allow Encina to be progressive in doing what we do, your budget at Vallecitos is going up for the same reason. It's good leadership at the board level, frankly. Now, to answer your question, it's based, our operating costs are allocated to each of our member agencies based on the programs that they participate in. So in the case of Vallecitos, because all of Vallecitos' facilities are considered non-joint facilities, they do not contract operate any facilities through Encina, but rather they operate their own facilities, and really where Vallecitos participates in Encina is in the joint regional treatment plant, the regional outfall, and the source control program. So within those three programs, they're larger, so we have a little more flexibility in allocating costs, that we can get more economies of scale there, as opposed to some of the smaller facilities where, for instance, in the Agua Hedionda pump station, where there's gonna be construction next year, very different set of factors and influencers on the budget there, and you don't participate, so you're not exposed to those risks. The other part of it is that within the EWPCF, the NC Water Pollution Control Facilities cost allocation model, there are two mechanisms for allocating costs. The first is ownership, and Vallecitos has pursued, through its board and staff, and I think very intelligently, pursued a just enough, just in time capacity strategy, so that your agency owns the capacity it needs, not additional capacity that goes unused, and more importantly, sitting there unused, you have to pay for that ready-to-serve capacity. So by using a higher percentage of the capacity that you own, you get a more efficiency on the ownership side. And then on the usage side, that which reflects, hey, this is the cost of service related to wastewater that actually enters the treatment plant. With respect to that, because Vallecitos does such a good job of recycling water upstream, they send less water to us. They send more solids to us. They get a little bit of a credit in the cost allocation model for the energy that those solids generate. And the other point is that when we look at the solids piece of the usage allocation, just looking at that, focusing on the solids piece, that particular number is averaged over 3 years. And now in 2015, we've completely taken into account the operation of the metal arc treatment plant. And frankly, the growth in the service areas, flows, and strengths have been pretty consistent. So I think that all those factors contribute to the reality that Vallecitos' budget is going up at a slower rate than all other member agencies.
That's helpful, thank you. Makes perfect sense.
The one issue where he's talking about owning more than you need, you actually could put yourself in a position where by the time you get around to needing it, you're replacing it. So that was one of the strategies of years ago, was buy what we need when we need it. Otherwise, because if you own 25%, you only need 22, you're paying 25% of the cost, period. So you're paying money for something you don't use for 15, 20 years, and by the time you do use it, Kevin's sending us the bill to replace it.
No, that was good information, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question? No?
The two members of the board that are on the committee have approved the budget already on behalf, and that's part of the recommendation. And if it pleases the board, we would recommend that you adopt the resolution approving Encina's budget.
Okay, looking for a motion?
Move to. Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
This will be resolution 47. Director Evans?
Yes.
Director Mattis?
Yes.
Director Strong?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Mike.
Presentation.
And I think he brought a supply of, yeah, let's say.
Oh, yeah. How do I get out of here without showing my
Come on.
Well, first of all, let me add my last response. Dennis is my favorite. You guys are my favorite. I love you.
Yeah, right answer.
We've also brought you a number of sacks of fertilizer back there. If you need them, let me know. But they'll make those flowers grow better, I can promise you.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you very much. All right. And just for everybody's thoughts, I need 3 of those for a presentation tomorrow.
I need
There's
one.
15. Put my dibs in now. And
You better grab them now, they go fast.
I want to bring my bag of fertilizer with me. So, I'll leave it. 2.2, approved construction agreement for North City Drive sewer relocation.
I'll have Mr. Scholl address the board.
Now, Mr. Shaw, how come you would do this instead of James?
Well,
Out of curiosity.
let me go ahead and explain that one there. President Martin, good afternoon. President Martin, directors of the board. My name is Robert Schull here. I'm the new senior engineer in the Development Services Department there. So looks like it'll be my inherent responsibility now to make presentations here on development services items to the board.
Well, get pushed off on you by somebody.
If it goes to capital, that whoever we backfill into that position, they'll handle capital issues. James will handle overall the department. So we separated back to the 2 departments always been, which is development. So anything associated with development will be under Rob's purview, and anything in the capital will be under the new capital engineer.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
Nice suit.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Okay, the quad development here. The quad development is shown in yellow here on the figure that you have in front of you, I believe. This was built in a couple of phases here. When the first phase was being constructed, they installed a sewer line, which is in the future North City Drive on the north side of the development property. In the
Shows the north side.
where North City Drive is there, it's on the north of the yellow rectangle there.
Okay.
So that was, let's see, that first phase here was constructed somewhere in the 2012 range there. That's when the sewer went in, the summer of 2012. 2 years later, now they're ready for the next phase here. With that phase, they would be actually constructing the road portion of North City Drive, which is shown there on the north side of the property. Between these 2 years, however, the city of San Marcos has adopted new streetscape improvement requirements. Basically, they require the installation of a bioretention facility, which would go right down the middle of that street, which just so happens to be right in the same alignment where the sewer is that they built 2 years prior. Therefore, we're here to move that sewer to the north side of North City Drive, as shown on the figure there. And then in the future, we'll have a future extension to the north there that'll connect to our existing sewer system. So with that, I'd like to recommend approval of the construction agreement for the North City Drive sewer relocation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Yes, I have. Go ahead.
The developer put in the first piece.
Yes, sir.
City changed the rules. Who's paying for the second piece?
I believe that's also on the developer.
That's also the developer.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, it's a double whammy on that poor devil, huh?
Well, my understanding was the developer knew that going in, though.
Excuse, Paul, would you, Paul?
How are you?
Fine, Paul Metcalf for Urban Villages.
Well, so the question is that when you first put it in to build your development, and now you have to move it because the city changed some requirements, but didn't you know that going in that you were gonna potentially have to move that?
No, like all of the processes we've been through with the city and the development that we're in, it's kind of an iterative process, I guess. We're very fond of doing everything over and over again until we get it right, so.
So this is totally on your dime?
Yeah, yes, it is, yes.
Yeah.
Do you get any, and this is not related to water, but just my own personal interest, did you get any benefit on your fees or anything for the?
Well, they are working with us, but there is no real benefit. It's all part of a larger specific plan amendment that we did, and it's driven by the Regional Water Quality Control Board's new regulations and rules. Just something that we found a great solution to a difficult problem, and insofar as the sewer was in the way, we agreed to move it. So.
Okay.
Tough having the city as a partner sometimes, huh?
No comment.
Thank you. We are filmed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, any other questions? Any other questions? No other questions? Any motion?
Move to approve? Oh, did you? I'm sorry.
You can second.
I'm
it.
deaf myself.
Seconded by Jim.
I'll come over the other side.
Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Director Evans?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Spinello?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going on to the resolution ordering annexation of Cortez and Development Solutions, PAC.
Okay, thank you very much, President Martin. You have seen this annexation request at the March 19, 2014 board meeting. It was brought before you there for both the Cortez and the Development Solutions projects, the parcels. The board did approve the annexation with conditions. We're here before you today there. Those conditions have been met. The annexation fees have been paid. State Board of Equalization fees have been paid. And the developer has submitted the title report and property descriptions to us. So with all these conditions now wrapped up there, we'd like to recommend adoption of the resolution ordering the annexation of the Cortez and Development Solutions properties. and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions? I just have one. Do you have a feeling for how soon they're gonna start on this? Looks like by how quickly they've gone through that process, they wanna start relatively quickly.
Yeah, in the next couple of months.
Is this your assistant coming up? Without the time code?
Thank you, President Martin. Yes, the developer's indicated that he's basically ready to go and start on the process. He wants to get going and basically have, well, if he had his choice, he'd have sticks up and buildings constructed this summer and then out into the end of the year. But I don't know if he's quite gonna get there, but as far as our process is, he's through our process.
Thank you very much.
Question, unrelated but partially related to our fees. Recall we had our ordinance, opportunity to extend the fees until final inspection. Any discussion on that, which way he's choosing to go?
He's going to go ahead and actually, yeah, he's gonna phase the fees in.
Phases fees. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, roll call vote, please. Oh.
Need a motion?
Motion.
I'll take it this time.
Second.
I'll second. You have to do something.
Roll call.
I'm all the way down
He asked questions in the beginning.
This will be resolution 1448. Director Evans?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Spinella?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
2.4, reserve policy revisions and resolution. And we're getting Tom again. All right.
Yes, President Martin, members of the board, you have before you, starting on page 39 of the packet, a recommendation from staff to increase the reserve sewer replacement reserve floor and ceiling, the minimum and the maximum. This was discussed at our May 19th workshop as well. So all the details starting on page 39 that were discussed then are repeated here. The only change on top of page 42, I've also included what would the floors and ceiling and balance, projected balance in that reserve fund look like if this change is adopted, and this is what it would look like. So you see the floor goes up a little bit each year, the ceiling goes up a little bit each year on top of page 42. The blue is the floor, the red is the ceiling. The floor represents 3 years of estimated replacements. The ceiling represents 10 years of estimated replacements. In this case, 8 years would be the change. And then the projected balance is what's in the draft budget right now, the green line. And the reason for the change, if you recall from last time, was currently it's artificially low, those floors and ceilings and sewer, because we assume the same life for water assets that we do for sewer assets when we project. And then earlier in the presentation, you saw that for water, we compared, well, what did we budget, what did we estimate, and what did it actually come in at? In water, we were just a little bit under the actual cost, but sewer, we were quite a bit, we underestimated quite a bit. That's because the life of sewer assets are shorter. In fact, for accounting purposes, we say some of the sewer mains are 50 years and the water mains are 75. So here we're using the same estimated useful life. So the suggestion is to say, use a more realistic life for sewer assets and replace them.
Was there one single issue that gave you the epiphany that we weren't saving enough?
Little by little, it was kind of a gradual thing, but little by little, it just didn't pass the smell test because you saw the floor for the sewer reserve was less than the floor for the water reserve. It's like, that doesn't make sense because the sewer assets cost more and also deteriorate faster than water assets. You would have expected just the opposite. And then when we said, well, let's go back and look, and after last year's budget, we went back and looked and said, okay, now let's compare what actually happened and what did we estimate each year. So, and then that was something that we mentioned we'll bring forth to you when we go through the budget process.
And I brought this up last time. The reason for the floor, which is an artificial number, what's its purpose other than?
A signal, if you will, a target. If we want to be above that floor, we have to have, obviously we want a healthy enough reserve to address any problems that may come up that we don't budget for. Yeah. So even budgeted and unanticipated replacements come out of this reserve fund. So we want a floor. We don't want the floor to be zero, certainly. we need to have an amount, some minimal amount in that replacement fund, and hopefully, we're funding closer towards the ceiling. It's a lot more healthy now.
They're essentially guardrails. That's the whole purpose of the minimum and maximum, is to keep you somewhere on the road, somewhere in between. It's a signal. If you get to the bottom, we've probably missed the target on something. The max is literally there because it helps identify, and that's what establishes our rates. When we talk about going over where we have a rate stabilization, that's anything above and beyond the reserve. So what you can see here, and this is what we were speaking about the committee meeting on the budget, was you want to be somewhere up in probably 75 to 85% of your max. If you have 1 year you don't perform as well, you can use part of your reserves to take care of things. If you do better, you go over, you have a rate stabilization fund. But what you don't want to do is go up and down every year. So that's kind of all it is a set of guidelines of where we should be. We don't have a target to where we fund a specific reserve policy, similar to what Director Evans has down at the Water Authority, where they have 150 million. I'm going to say it's 150 million, 135 million. They have a targeted, that is their budget. So it's not a moving target, it's just plain and simple. They want $150 million in reserves. Ours is based upon a specific amount of mins and maximums. It's a different approach.
Right, but the approach when you have a target is, this is the way it is. The approach when you don't have a target, when you use is for it to be politicized. In other words, in a leaner year, when you don't think you should increase the rate, you won't. You'll suck the money out of that, take it down to the floor. Versus if you have a target, it's a number you gotta hit.
And that's why we have a 10-year projection here for you. I don't agree with the concept of, it's an election year, don't raise rates. That's
Right.
not a very good strategy on how to run an organization. With the 10-year projection that we provide in here, that's what this does. This allows the finance department to provide the board with guidance of where we're going, so that we know we're not going to do something like that.
Okay, great.
That's the whole purpose, so it doesn't become a political football to where you knew it, you allowed for it, you projected it, you took care of it.
That's all I had, and I'm glad to answer any questions, but we'd recommend that you adopt the resolution with the revisions.
Any questions?
Did you have a question? I thought you had your hand kind of going.
No.
So that's why I kept.
You?
Good head exercise with you guys.
So,
Oh, there was.
Tom,
Mr. Sinella.
just so again, to help me kind of wrap my head around all this, the 6.6 million that you're going to take from the rate stabilization fund to offset this new increase in the ceiling, right?
No, well, all it is raising the floor and the ceiling. The floor is by 2.2, but the ceiling approximately 6.6 million. So that line stays the same, the balance stays the same. That doesn't have a real fiscal impact, but what happens is because the floor and the ceiling, particularly the ceiling in this case, are raised, all of a sudden your balance is below.
And you gotta put some money into the balance to get it.
There's no
within
change of money. It's just, and if you look at, imagine before this change, looking at that graph on top of page 42, shift that red line down, 6 million or so. And that's all you're doing, is just shifting that line, which is a target, which is something, an aid for the board to kind of evaluate how are we doing on this reserve fund. So there's no change of money over here. The fund is still the same. It's only that red line, which is only a target. General Manager Lamb used a good analogy, guardrail. It just brings that guardrail down a little bit. Or excuse me, in this case, we're bringing it up a little bit.
I thought we talked about it the last time a couple meetings ago when we talked about this, that
Yeah, the rate stabilization, I mean,
the rate
you're right there.
stabilization was going to be, if you raise the floor, and our current balance is beneath the floor, don't we need?
Well, it's above the floor.
We're outside
beneath
the
ceiling.
guardrails, right?
Yeah, it's above the ceiling.
Okay.
So you're right, now you're raising your ceiling, and all of a sudden the balance is below it now.
Yeah, it's
So-
no longer a rate stabilization.
There's no
Yeah, so you're-
physical change of money.
So
but you're
okay,
right.
maybe I was using the wrong words, but we're going to lose some rate stabilization, right?
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
it would have been like 4.8, roughly 4.8 million in rate stabilization,
Mhm.
and now it's just, relatively close to the ceiling.
So my only concern with doing this, and I don't know if we have a choice not to do it, but is that 4.8 million in rate stabilization that was paid into the pool, if you will, by the customers over, was that over 1 year's time, over 5 years' time?
It's always changing that balance. What's in that balance is funded from a few things, from property tax, from our net revenues, but then what comes out is replacement. So it's always a moving target, so, but yeah.
So
part of
my
it comes
concern
from-
is that for a lack of a better way to put it, the ratepayers kind of prepaid or paid a little bit above what was needed in those prior years, be it last year, the year before, whatever amount of time it took to accumulate that amount of rate stabilization fund. And because we're going to increase the ceiling and the floor, they're not going to realize the benefit of their extra money that they put towards this, because that rate stabilization money won't be used to stabilize their rates in the future as the cost of water goes up.
Yeah, we take into those factors when we present to you, when it comes time for increasing rates or not increasing rates, when it comes time to, that's a factor to consider.
I think, okay, so, but is my thought process right? Because I'm still learning here, so I just
Yeah.
want to make sure this.
It's really up to the board to look at it that way. Right now, I don't think it really influences we already set the rate at $1.54, right? That's already there. And then going forward, we're not going to our goal isn't to get rate stabilization money, it's just to have a healthy reserve.
No,
So-
I understand that, but we have it
Yeah.
currently, to the tune of $7 million or whatever.
Right, and projected to be
Total,
like
yes.
4.8.
4.8, yeah.
And so.
Yeah, you're more likely
It is
to.
concerning that there's not, since we do have it, and the whole purpose of it is to kind of help alleviate some of the pain that all
Sure.
I've heard about since I've been on the board since January is that the rates are going to go up, cost of water is going to go up, and that the whole rate stabilization plan was to kind of help mitigate some of the pain that the customers were going to face
This
in the
is
future.
separate, this is sewer. That was over in the water.
Okay, well,
This is sewer.
either way, but.
Yeah. No, absolutely, you're right, and the floor and ceiling were artificially low because of the life of the assets didn't match when we were saying it's a 70-year life, but it's only a 50. So,
And if I could interject in there, Director Snell, the money, it doesn't disappear. I think, I agree with the theory of a rate stabilization, that would be considered, but again, we've already set the rates for the next year. And based on that projection is also part of why the money is where it's coming up. But we also had 6-point-something million coming out of expenditures, so that number's gonna drop quite a bit on the money that's in there. But as you move forward, that money is still there. So in 2 years from now, when you look at the way the rates are projected, because you are so close to your ceiling, you may not keep the rates down this year because you've already established them, but in 2 years from now, when you go to establish the rates, because of where we will be in here, the board may be able just to say, no, we hold the rate flat, and you don't, it doesn't hold. Something could happen next year where the cost of operating Meadowlark goes to the ceiling by 2 or 3 million, same with Encina. So it literally is a year-by-year fluctuation. If we didn't change the rates of what we projected this year, you could eat the whole 5 million up next year, then be looking at raising rates the following year. So it is a change in policy that does absorb a rate equalization, but the money doesn't disappear, and you still have the same effect of that money in subsequent years' budgets. It doesn't disappear. We're not artificially
It doesn't
raising the
disappear,
rate
but
because of it.
but it can't, unless we have another windfall or more, more money than it costs to run the operation, it won't be able to be.
It won't be
put
realized
towards-
this year.
Yeah.
It won't be realized this year.
Or maybe the year after, or ever. So it's just a concern. I understand the idea and the concept of why we need to have the guardrails and we need to increase them. But it's kind of a shame, to be honest, that we're gonna take away the ability to offer some relief that I think would be a great benefit to our customers.
yeah. You still have the ability, it'll just be getting closer to the floor,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
but you're
that gets
absolutely
back,
right.
and
when
then
you-
that gets back to President Martin's point is, instead of having a target and having a floor and a ceiling, you're putting a little bit more of our discretion into it, and that adds into the human factor and the motivation and a lot of other things, so, which adds to another group of concerns, but. Is this something, just going right here, are you asking for us to approve this tonight? Or is this something that we're still considering, we're gonna have a final discussion on this on the 10th?
That's board discretion. It is into, it would affect our budget. Right now in our draft budget, we're assuming this, but that's board discretion. So it is for you to approve, but you can always table it or not approve it. It's really up to the board.
I don't know if anybody else has any comments, but if the board doesn't mind, since we're gonna be meeting again in 6 days, my preference would be to give us, I'd like to sleep on this, and give it some more
Just,
consideration.
the 6 days is not a place we can vote. That's at a committee meeting,
No, it's a special meeting.
a special meeting.
Right.
It is a special
Whatever
board.
meeting.
You
More
can-
workshop.
I'm still confused.
No, it is a special
I'm
board
still
meeting.
confused about
You
the-
you can take direction and take action.
Yeah, if you want another
But
6
you can
days,
take
that's fine by
action.
me, sure. We'll table it and put it on the agenda on the 10th
The workshop.
workshop. Well, no, it's a special meeting.
Yeah, special board workshop.
And we'll agendize it.
Yes, and
And
you,
and I
Don't
have a
even go there
question.
again.
What I'd like to see is I'm glad you show out 10 years, but I'd like to see the previous 10 years as well in graph form, using the same graph for both, to see where we've been.
Perfect, yeah. I just have a
Give
couple
me the-
years of that,
where
but I
we're
can
going.
extend that, do 8 more, yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see where we've been, where have we, as we said the last time we talked about it, the other workshop was, I like the idea of a target. I don't like the idea of this meandering number at the whim of politicians. I think it would be better for you if you had a target, and pretty simple then. I don't know, but just my thought.
Yeah, we can talk about it again, as indicated. If you have a target, what that does is it does take away your flexibility as a board to actually establish by raising and not raising rates. If you set it at a firm number and something happens, and you're not within that target range, and you're suddenly 35% underneath your ceiling, that's part of your normal rate projection. What you will do is by having a policy of saying X percentage, X dollars, you now mandated establishing ups and downs. I'll just
But that's
caution you on
what
that.
the water district does, correct?
What's that?
Santa County Water Authority does that.
Different animal. Again, they
That's a
have 26 customers. They have a fixed $150 million.
Yeah.
And they set things accordingly. But if they spend it,
Makes sense.
then what's gonna happen the subsequent year is boom, you're gonna get hit with it. So that's why I say if you have a projection, you have guardrails, it actually gives the board some flexibility, and I'd say insulation from that type of concern, to where if you go over 1 year, you eat part of your reserves up. If you have a good year, you sell more water, and you go over the subsequent year, the board can make a determination if a rate projection was 13 cents a unit increase, that's the max. That's what we do in our 218 notice. The board could then say, we only want to go 11. Get yourself back down below that. So that's where having,
And I understand the
Bumpers.
rationale. If that's not abused, I understand the rationale,
Yeah.
but I see the opening for abuse, and that's why I like to see 10 years back.
Yeah, and we'll show
See,
that.
what's our history, what have we done in the past?
And we also, when it comes time to rates, we take a look at what affordability index, we take a look at so many other factors, and bring that to you to make a decision as well. And when, like General Manager Lamb was saying, when you have a specific target, sometimes that ignores the
Yeah.
Water Authority doesn't care about affordability, I shouldn't say don't care. Affordability issues, that's at the retail, that's the onus of the retail agency. So things like that, debt service coverage and all that, we look at that all in total and maintain our flexibility.
okay, we'll put it on the next agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're gonna table that and put it on the next agenda. Do we need a vote for that or anything, Mr. Attorney?
no, let's continue it.
Okay, continue until the 10th. Okay, 2.5, resolution for special recognition of district staff.
I think it speaks for itself. We'd request the board to adopt this on behalf of the board, recognizing the efforts of the employees.
And what date is that for again?
The 12th,
The 12th of
this month.
June.
You should have gotten the invitation in the email or while you were here. And she's got them with her as well.
I'm sure I did. What time is it?
11:30.
11:30 here?
Yep.
And that's the plaque coming from the entire board.
Right. We'll actually have 2 resolutions signed by Don. Will have 2. One will be a presentation that'll be in a plaque for the employees, and then the official one for our records. So it'll be 2.
That's great, thank you.
Okay, great.
So this is a roll call vote?
Move to approve, if it wasn't already.
We have a motion. Looking for a second? And a second? Roll call vote, please.
Director Evans?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Spinella?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes. Thank you.
I'm sorry, the date on that again, please?
12th?
The 12th,
10/12 at what time?
11:30, the 12th of November.
Yeah, I'll be there, it's gonna be in the desert, so. I don't know.
The 12th of June.
12th of June. Okay, 2.6, approval of travel expenses and per diem for North San Diego Water Reuse Coalition District Business Trip.
This, as it indicates here, the past couple of years, the group has gone back to Washington DC to lobby our policymakers to help get some money in the WRDA bill, Prop 84 money, and do anything else we can beg, cheat, steal, and borrow to get money towards these projects. It is not an approved meeting, it does require board authorization. In the past, it has been Director Hernandez has gone on behalf of the district and was invited again this year by the coalition, and this is at the board's pleasure to approve the travel and per diem.
Okay, and this is the trip to Washington?
Yes.
Which is how many days? Or should I ask?
I think it's 2 days.
It's 2 days.
16th to 17th.
There and back. You go before you land, the next day, go and you come back.
And how large is this group?
I think there's 5 or 7.
5 or 6-ish going
There's
this
still
time.
some tentatives who
Yeah.
are not sure they're going or not going.
There's usually 5 or 6 that say they're gonna go, and 4 end up going.
Okay, and you meet with
Army
legislators?
Corps of Engineers, and members of the Congress that are very influential on the transportation bill, which this is part of, to see if we can push not only the passage of that, but ultimately put some money in there so that we can, in fact, get some dollars to our neighborhood as opposed to Orange County, who also has a group that is looking for money. So it's
Yeah,
just staying
right.
in front of them.
I think we're competing with Orange County, East Bay Mud,
Yes.
LA Water and Power, and a couple others. And the money, and it's weird, as Director Hernandez said, it's coming through the transportation bill. That's not where you would think it would go. But the reason they did it, just a little background, is you would recall all the conversation 2 years ago about earmarks. Earmarks are no longer allowed on any of the bills. You can't have the drop-ins, and I can't remember what the third term was called.
Pork belly.
Yeah, well, it's all the pork, but they can't do earmarks. So this one right now is the canary in the coal mine test to get the money through. The WRDA bill was signed and approved, which was a feat unto itself. But now what's happening is all the carnivores are coming out because they see the money finally. And so now it's the small group competing against the big boys. And that's why we saw the value the last couple of years of sending the representatives of the districts, boards, because we're in their mind. That's been the whole purpose.
And part of that, which it doesn't specifically say that in the item number here, but there is also an additional meeting with the colonel
Yeah.
on the 18th of June that I hope this is included in, where we can actually meet face-to-face with the colonel. It's going to be in our area, and so a number of us that are able to are going to go and with the individual meeting solely by ourselves, again, talk about the opportunities that North San Diego County has versus any of the other groups.
How many of these people are elected and how many are, of the group that's going, of 5 or 6?
3 of each. 3 elected, 3 GMs.
And that's the same group that meets with the colonel?
No, that's a different group right now. There's no electeds going to that one. That one's, we're down to, I think, maybe 3 or 4 GMs and staff going to that one. And that one is scheduled, and to be perfectly honest, it's looking a little dicey to me. The guy's busy,
Oh,
put it that way. It supposedly still is on, but we're down to, I think, just a couple of GMs and some staff are going to meet with him at this point.
And Jim would be the only representative from Vallecitos?
Mhm.
Well, no,
No, I mean.
elected representative.
Elected representative. If anybody else wanted to go to DC, you give yourself approval.
No, I was
No,
just
he's
curious,
talking about-
is any of our staff going?
To DC?
Yeah.
No.
So,
No, I didn't see the value of both Jim and I going.
That's
Yeah.
where I was gonna go next.
I'll move for the approval of the trip per diem to Washington DC. Need a second?
I'll second that. I think it's a worthy
Second.
cause.
Roll call vote?
Director Evans?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
yes.
Director Spinella?
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes. All right, on to reports.
Let's see, GM report. You do have, before I sent you an email today with the review process for council. You have a hard copy in front of you as well. So there's the dates in there for when you need to get back to me. The process, if there are any questions that you do have on that form or anything else, just give me a holler. So you've got hard copy plus digital, whatever's more convenient for you. I'm continuing to work with the fire departments of the various agencies after the fires to make sure we all understand who's responsible for what and where and everything else. Have been in contact with Chief Toohey of Elfin Forest Fire Department to talk about, what's taking place out there. We did send staff out to verify the fire hydrants that were ours, where they are and how many, so we've taken care of that. So we'll continue to work through with that, see what we can come up with that everybody's taken care of in the future, so we know what's going on.
I have a question. During the presentations at the EOC, thank you very much, I'm sorry. At the EOC that the city has, did I understand that they had representatives at their EOC from the fire, sheriffs, whoever all else, school district? Do we have a representative there, or do we just, we do?
We have a seat and we are in contact with them.
Do we have, and the reason I'm going there with this is because the couple of the presenters actually identified some of the members of the EOC, and then, of course, we were absent. Our name was absent.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know if we had a presence, or we just worked through the web page that you had discussed from our EOC.
Yes.
Yes, we have a presence?
No, yes. We work through the EOC webpage.
Webpage.
We coordinate, we work through the Water Authority as part of the overall group called the Water Hub through that EOC. And so all the water agencies coordinate, and then we make contact, we are in contact with the San Marcos EOC.
Right.
And also through the Water Authority, they're in contact with the regional group. But for us to have somebody sitting there at the EOC, there really is no practical value of it.
I see.
We did provide Alicia, who went over as part of the PIO, to help with their public outreach.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting, because at the Thank You San Marcos event, I had a chance to speak to.
Director Sinelli, right?
Sorry, President.
Sorry.
Get excited, sorry. A couple of the firefighters, and I got just the opposite feedback from them, that they had indicated it would have actually been beneficial to have a representative from the water district there in the EOC to kind of liaison between what was going on in the EOC amongst the first responders, and then back here at the district. There was some gates that needed to get opened, and there was some different things that came up. One of the notes I had, and I was going to bring it up in director's comments, but maybe there might be some value if the others agree, that we maybe have a workshop with the fire department to kind of go over some lessons learned. And
We've actually already done that. We've already done lessons learned here. We've done it with the Water Authority, and we've done it on behalf of Jerome, if you want to come up here and explain what we've already done. I will say, whenever there was a question like that, I did receive the call, and the call was, can we cut through your fence and drive through it? Yeah. Go ahead.
Jerome Janis, I'm the risk management supervisor, also EOC, our EOC coordinator. As far as with the city, we made contact with them to let them know that our EOC was manned, and gave them our phone number. Our working agreement with them is that if they require somebody from the water district, just to give our EOC a call, and we'll send a representative to them. We didn't get that call. We did get a call from them requesting PAO support, and so we sent Alicia over there for that. We made the initial contact, and when the power outage, at a time like that, we kept trying to contact their EOC and everything like that to know that we had a modified EOC stood up. After a couple of hours, and once we settled all of our stuff down, we went over to the city's EOC, and their phone system was down, and the fire department had their command center set up, and they weren't even worried about us. They said, we know you guys are going to supply us all the water we need, so we didn't think we needed to bother contacting you.
We've never received any feedback that it would have been convenient either way.
So
I'm not sure who you got that from.
I received it on Saturday, just to let you know.
I can contact my phone.
Yeah, maybe just reach out.
Yeah, we'll reach out to him.
We'll reach out.
I know that there's a lot of analysis going on, and what went well, what didn't go well. Just want to make sure that if there's something that we can do as an agency to help in those emergency situations, I know that we just passed a resolution, everybody was working very hard.
Right.
But it was interesting that feedback did come to at least one board member.
Right, it's
At
kind
the
of
first
surprising.
public event after the fire.
Because we were also in contact with the San Diego County Water, I'm not San Diego County Water Authority, but the San Diego County OSC. And that's how we were able to get some of our people up into some of those areas to take care of some of our facilities by contacting the water representative on the San Diego County EOC, who turned around and talked to the fire person and say, hey, if you don't let these guys in.
Because it goes on a
you're gonna
regional basis, it doesn't go by local control.
Right.
We'll reach out to them and see if we can improve.
Thanks.
Yes, Mr. Hernandez.
I'm not concerned about our reliability and our staff doing their job. And maybe it's just me being me. I'm still offended that nobody else seems to be waving the flag or acknowledging our good job. I mean, there was one of the members, and it happened to be our fire captain, fire captain at San Marcos, mentioned us specifically out of the
We asked him.
5.
I believe,
Thank you.
I believe the vice mayor mentioned us specifically too in the introduction.
She did.
Oh,
did she?
We were mentioned,
Okay.
I mean, I think it's a testament to how good we are and how reliable we are that they don't worry about us that much. And the only feedback that I got from both the city manager and the assistant city manager is a big kudos to Lisa for getting a PIO officer over there as quickly as the city needed it. And the city needed it, because if you listen to the radio stations and the TV stations, they were talking to Joe Nobody on the corner. Tell us about the fire, Joe Nobody. And Joe was telling them all types of stuff that weren't true. So, thank you very much. But that was from both of them at different times. They both stopped me, both to compliment on what you guys had done by sending somebody over there, so.
I'm glad to hear that.
I didn't hear any negative stuff.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerome. And the last item is the board at last.
I just would like to make one comment. It's not really about the fire, but when, at the Aqua thing, when they were talking about surviving an earthquake, that was the big issue. One of the things that the woman who's very much involved on a federal basis in this, and also in the San Francisco area, who was the speaker, commented on how important it was that you understood the chain of command and everyone was in sync with what's happening. And I think sometimes when we go out as a board member, and this is why it's important we also bring it forward, is that we talk to someone else in the crowd who gives us a different insight to what the people who are actually connected with and going on with what happened. So I'm glad to hear you're gonna reach out and ask one more time, but I'm also grateful to know that staffs have already gotten together and done the, what did we learn and how could we do it better. I thought we did an amazing job, but I'm not sure if I would have just been asking it certain individuals, if I wouldn't have gotten a different answer than if I was asking the actual people who were directing the show. I'm making clear what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying there's two levels of communication going on, and that was part of the earthquake thing, is that, and it's like anything that happens, you hear only part of the story until you get down to the main people.
And that's why we try to operate through the regional process, and that's the training that Jerome and his staff go through.
And that's what I'm trying to,
Yeah.
I'm applauding that.
It's-
But I'm also saying, as board members, sometimes we are going to bump into people and
Oh, yeah.
we don't quite know how that and distribution of the information goes. We can get a different answer. I'm glad that Director Sinella brought it up, and I'm glad you'll reach out, even though it may not be an actual issue on the upper level.
Sure.
I appreciate that.
Then the last thing is, last board meeting, the board did talk about the message, what the board wants to do and reach. So we have reached out to a consultant, and Diane will be polling you probably in the next day or two on days for interview plus days for a workshop. So we're hoping within the next week or so we can get you in for the interviews, and then we'll schedule the workshop as well. So that information will be coming from Diane here in the next few days. I'm putting words in her mouth, but should be out in the next few days, I would guess. And that's all I have.
That was a bunch. Thank you. District Legal Counsel.
I know everybody will be very disappointed, but I don't have anything to report tonight, Mr. President.
So disappointed.
Mr. President.
If I got a question.
Mr. Hernandez has a question of you, I do believe.
In one of the many emails that I get and different things about water, there was some bill that was approved that eliminated the tax exempt bonds for infrastructure financing, and it was a push to provide more public-private partnerships was the discussion, but the fear is that it allowed or may have given a larger opportunity for more privatization of water districts. I didn't copy it because it seemed.
Private activity bond interest.
I will
We'll
look
look
into
into
it.
it.
I mean, I think it sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with a bunch of public agency attorneys, but I gotta go back and look it up. Because
Yeah,
it
and I'll
doesn't,
see
it
if I
doesn't,
can't find it
and if you got
forward it,
something, but
yeah.
we'll take a look at it.
Yeah,
you
there
know.
was one that was going along, and it was challenged pretty hard by everybody, because it takes away the incentive from the tax exempt bonds for investors to actually do it,
Right.
which gets us a much lower rate
Yes.
thing, and that was being challenged pretty hard. I was surprised if it got through.
Well,
We'll look into
I
it, though.
believe that's what I read.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll
look into
make
that.
sure we'll
Okay.
give you a report.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Snow?
Yeah. Just, Jeff, does this Prop 42 that passed last night, public records, open meetings, reimbursements, does that have anything to do with this?
Well, you know, that was all to do with the, who was gonna pay for it.
Okay.
So, what that did was historically, we've gotten reimbursed for those kinds of mandated costs that the state puts upon the local agencies. And that bill basically last night, the way it was written, puts the responsibility for payment back on the public agencies. So it marginally affects us. As a practical matter, no, because we haven't been getting reimbursements
We haven't
for
paid anyone.
a decade from the state, because they have historically had no money to give, to pay that. So that was why they took it, that's why they had that bill, and they basically made it look good so that it would be an easy passage, and talked about it, hey, we're gonna make sure that this is mandated upon local agencies to this sunshine law is mandated, so that, yeah, because there was some issue when they passed the budget before, that there was a bit of a glitch there as to whether or not we had to technically comply with the Brown Act, because we weren't getting reimbursed, and so it was kind of a cleanup thing. And basically what happens is that it's business as normal, really didn't change anything, but it was a feel-good bill or initiative.
We actually, every year, have a contract we execute with a company that goes after the state to try to recover it. And if they can recover anything, we give them a piece of it, because we figure it's better to get nothing than something than nothing. And we have yet to receive anything.
Okay. Thank you.
San Diego County Water Authority.
Well, I sort of have a potpourri of things. The last meeting was actually on the 22nd of May. So I just thought I'd throw out some interesting things I learned. First, the desal plant is really ahead of schedule, and they really are anticipating that it will open in the fall of 2015. And all of the conveyance pipe is half done, and if I've got this right, the San Marcos Vent and the Twin Oaks Valley treatment plant improvements are completed. And it just seems to be sailing with no problems whatsoever. It's incredible. They had a thing about the Lake Hodges pump storage, and I guess this goes way back to like 2002 when it was first started and planned, but they were assuming that the payback on it would take approximately 18 to 21 years to get payback on building it. And then in '04, we had, after the energy crisis, and they did a power agreement with SDG&E, they thought they'd move that to about 8.8 years of payback, which is pretty amazing. And now we've just finished, we were in a lawsuit over construction problems. We won the lawsuit, the Water Authority won and got $30 million out of it. So now they finally say it will be paid back in 9 years and 7 months, which I think that's incredible. It's half the time they thought, and a lot of it will be because we'll be able to have energy credits, I mean, with the new purposes of the way we're gonna be using renewable energy. I also thought you'd be excited to find out that I got to see pictures of the magnetic flux leakage measurement tool.
Oh,
And this
wow.
massive
Top
thing
secret.
can go inside these pipes in a non-destructive way and can actually find the corrosion down to the size less than a quarter in size. So we can plan on our millions of miles of pipe on which corroded parts need to be fixed first. And I was very excited. They just finished pipeline 4 and on pipeline 3, and it's only gonna cost us like $1 million some.
Ed said
Amazing.
Ed told me we had one of those. His name is Jim.
Jim, however, the problem for Jim is, it's normally like the size of $50.
Oh.
This goes down to a quarter or less. Actually, I had pictures of inside this pipe with all these little dots. It was quite amazing. San Diego City presented its City San Diego Pure Water Program for the direct potable, and the Water Authority, of course, is going to support that. We passed a resolution to support it. It's quite an aggressive program, and I'm glad to see them taking it on. It will be interesting to see if it moves forward as nicely as they anticipate, and if it resolves the outfall at Point Loma. They did a poll for us on public opinion poll on water, and it is now officially one of the country's most top of mind. It's second only to economic employment conditions. Most people, 70% of the people are aware that there's a problem. Now, how there's 30% that don't know we're in a drought is beyond me. But of those people, 53% said they could do more to save water. So even though we have a lot of people already saving, they're willing to do more. 84% of the respondents said that water was essential for the economy, and they supported any long-term strategy to enhance water reliability to diversify. However, most of them said water was a good value, but it was still too expensive. So we have this major disconnect in what we want, what we like, and how we're going to pay for it. It was almost an even split on whether additional rate increases were really necessary to solve the problem. And surprisingly, 60% of the people believed that were aware about the Bay Delta and felt that that was an important issue to resolve. They didn't think as many people were involved in that. And we just, as a water authority, sent the letter off on the EIR and the EIS stating mostly that the plan doesn't address how it's going to be paid for, how it's going to be operated and maintained, and those are two major issues which make it very difficult to support, but we don't say that, we just say with change, as usual. I thought it was interesting, they did have a comment, though, that in today's drought, if the tunnels were working and were already done, it would make no difference, because there is no water to put through them. So it's very, very, very difficult when you look at this. And another gentleman had kind of got up and said, it's not between the fish and the farmers. It's between having water and not having water, period. And I thought that was really interesting. And finally, did I tell you, I might have already told you this, the Water Authority received a gold award for its Water a Real Value, which was a campaign, and an actual Emmy for its video Perfectly Clean. And I actually got to hold the Emmy right after the meeting. So isn't that amazing? I didn't know they got such things.
That's the new employee, Emmy.
An Emmy? Yeah, I should have got a picture, huh? Anyway, that's it for them. We did agree to continue the agricultural rates through 2015, but in that case, we're gonna take money out of reserves to help pay for the difference. And some people didn't wanna do that, but in the end, we agreed to do that. And we will have another public hearing at the next meeting, no, maybe it's the 26th of June on the actual final rates. Yes, sir?
Can we get a copy of that to use it on SMTV, as I'm sure we have a bunch of others over there being
The
done?
the videos of Perfectly Clean, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, of course, and I did have a little meeting with Lisa and Jason Foster, who's their outreach the other day, and they have a lot of programs
And
available.
hopefully we are getting that stuff on air.
Yes,
If we're not,
we are.
we need to talk to the city. Okay, thank you. That's it? Encina, Jim Hernandez.
Yes, we did not have a capital committee meeting, but we did have a board meeting, and the two items that I thought were of interest was we had a presentation of year-to-date key performances, which, three items that I thought were interesting. 49 hours per employee for training. And at the end of this, we said, okay, so what does that mean? Now, what does that mean? So they're doing a matrix, as to see what other organizations are doing, so we understand, 49 is great, or whatever. 9 days lost due to injuries. And the number one, and I thought the most important, was they only had one odor complaint from this year, which I thought was pretty incredible. The other thing that was talked about was the R&D development program. We have a consultant doing that, and a couple of things that, many things that they're looking at, just a lot. But one of them is with collaboration with SDG&E to see if we, again, as Kevin mentioned, our reliance on other people's power, we're minimizing continually. The good news is with that reduction, we're also able to reduce our energy consumption from SDG&E when they really need it, to allow them to use more of the grid for other purposes. And then a discussion is going to be coming up, fuel versus fertilizer. You heard Kevin also mention this pyrolysis, which condenses the pellets, does give us more opportunity for fuel, for product for digestion that gives us more gas, more fuel. So that'll be coming up in the future, but the one complaint this year was the high point.
Thank you very much. Moving on, 3.5, Director's Reports on Travel, Conferences, Seminars. I have one, because I don't know if I brought this up at the last meeting. Did I bring up the Twin Oaks tour of the empty tank at Twin Oaks?
No, you
I think I did. A few of us took that tour of the Twin Oaks tank, and my report would be very interesting. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, staff. Thank you for going. I have to tell you, I was, when I first heard about this opportunity, I was very excited about it. And when I got out there, I was still excited, but as they started showing me what you had to wear, I wasn't quite as excited. And then I'm starting to realize, yeah, I am afraid of heights. And then I'm starting to think, I'm 64 years old, I'm not in the best shape. Maybe this ladder thing wasn't a good idea. It's like, looking back, it's like, probably wasn't the best idea I've had this month. So I would tell you that your staff, and I actually told staff to call Jim Colston. He's the guy at San Marcos that takes care of all the cave-ins when someone's buried. And I talked to Colston Sandy, he said, we don't cover that area. That's, that's it. I went, oh, great. So anyhow, I want to say I did make it down to the first level, got off there, and I was perfectly fine. I could see everything from there and went back, but thank you, staff, for putting up with me. And I would, the next person that asks us about my age, I'm going to say, you really want to think about it. Because when you go there, it's a whole different thing, but it was an exciting trip. So I wanted to bring that up. And then I'll let someone else bring up the dinner that we went to on the 27th. And I'll just concur with them. I did enough talking. Thank you, staff. Next, anyone else? Mike, you have?
I took the same tour that Hal was talking
Yes.
about. It was great. I had a good time and learned a lot about the underground water storage facilities, the two that we have up there. Well, you just prompted my memory on the dinner. I'm trying to remember what the topic was. We had a bunch of grants.
School awards, grants.
Yeah, we had a bunch
Yeah.
of. They awarded a bunch of grants to local schools, and it was actually a neat presentation because some of the educators and even one student was there on hand to give presentations and to thank the. It was that CSDA, that group? To thank the group for funding their water-related activities. So it was an interesting dinner, but you kind of caught me on the spot. I wasn't thinking
That's
about
okay,
that.
I couldn't remember it either, so I'm glad I put that on the spot.
I was just trying to make it, I was just making it up as I went,
But
so.
how important was it?
I forgot.
Mr. President.
Mr. Mayor.
And what was amazing to me is, being a public school kid myself, the transition that has taken place over these many years is, boy, if you aren't helped by someone, whether it's an agency like ours or a corporation, big business, or even, I'm embarrassed for some of the school districts that their poor teachers are the only ones that are putting things in their classrooms, so you don't show up in a classroom with a big 4 white walls and a chalkboard and say, here you are. So what we are doing there with these grants, although they're $500 to $1,000, the students and staff are really stretching that for meaningful programs. So it was pretty interesting, and I'm glad we're continuing to support that.
Great. Anyone else have any? No?
I missed them both because I was sick and got stung by a baby.
That's right.
Good report. Okay.
Tell me what I missed.
CASA Annual Conference, August 20 to 22nd in Monterey. Please contact Diane quickly if you're gonna go, because as we know, reservations
Fills
are
up fast.
difficult to get.
All right.
Fills up fast.
We weren't stuck in a train in the
Are we,
snow. though.
are we in the same city? Well, thank you very much.
Diane, how about the transportation? Has that already been set?
No, and I'll be contacting you about that.
Okay, thank you.
Prior to
Yeah.
how we want to travel.
Okay, thank you.
If you leave now.
Avoid the
Walk-
rush.
Walk, taxi.
It's gonna take a horse.
Okay, Director's Comment, Future Agenda Item. There's one I'd like to bring up. Future Agenda Item. It was about a year ago, maybe over a year and a half ago, when I first got on the board, where the topic of conversation was we were in a lawsuit with McDonald Incorporated, or whoever his group goes by. And it was over ordinance number 175, 177, some ordinance number. And I think at that time, we had a settlement of some type. I've forgotten what it was. I'd like to be refreshed on what the settlement was. I think at that time, it was for a future, also, we were gonna be looking at it again in the future, and just to see what it was or whatever, and it's time to look at it, I think. But I don't remember what the settlement was. I asked Dennis about it and got some clarity, but
Yeah,
I'd like to get that
this-
legal.
The issue is you have a policy on increased density. That was
Right.
adopted by the board. Mr. McDonald sued because his opinion was we were flawed. That was the extent of the lawsuit. What we settled on, the board's direction me to settle it, was to give them a certain amount of units by the time we do the next master plan, which is March 2016. It wasn't to revisit the policy or the agreement. It was between now and then, anything within those two projects, the southwest corner of Twin Oaks and Sunworks Boulevard, or the area around his development, he got X units, period, before he had to pay an impact fee. If he got 500 and he went to go 750, he had to pay the impact fee for the extra 250. That's what the agreement says. It did not actually adopt nor look at policy. We did provide the presentation to the board twice in closed session on the whole basis of the policy, and it was left in place pending the review and the update of the next master plan and the need for the policy.
So we're good till 16.
So you're good until March 2016 because
Unless he
you're.
does more units.
If-
Well,
if-
even if he does more units.
Well, if he does, he's already agreed. If he builds more than what he said he was
Yeah,
gonna build,
yeah,
he's agreed
okay.
he'll pay the fee.
But I'm just not talking about him, I'm talking about anyone else that comes up with the policy. We had some questions about the policy at that time. I know we had closed sessions about the policy, and maybe now that I've been here for a longer period of time.
yeah,
I'll
bring it back.
Go back and
understand it better.
refresh. Yeah.
Sure.
Refresh it. I think it'd be good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Especially
but
with
just-
Mike, he hasn't been here, so.
You bet.
I'd just like to revisit like again.
Sure.
I don't know, but I know it was an interesting thing, so, we set that up. Anyone else? Yes? Mr.
Yes,
Hernandez.
I mentioned last time, and if we could put on the agenda for a reimbursement approval for that PowerPoint presentation that I put together and did already for the chamber once. scheduled to do another one in August. So we could view it or whatever we want to do and see if it's worth a couple $100.
So you want to put it on the agenda as an agenda item so we can review it and.
Unless you just want to give me a check.
Well, I think we should.
I think we should
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think so.
We're gonna wait on that.
Yeah.
I think we should at least see it.
Yeah.
To see its use. But thank you very much for doing that. And the other side of it is, lack of having anything else, it's good you came up with something.
Yeah, no, we're done.
I don't know whether we're $200 or not, so, I haven't seen it
You
yet.
can tell it, yeah.
It's not seen, I will see it tomorrow.
Good.
So, okay, any other future agenda item, Director Sinella?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I was glad to hear Jim's report on Insignia and their KPIs and their metrics. And I know we've had conversations in recent months about kind of expanding what we do in that area. So don't want it to leave the radar screen if we can in the next couple of.
No, I actually just met with Tom today about that to make sure we're getting certain categories to bring forward, so we're continuing
Okay,
to
so
work
we're
on
gonna see that in
that.
the future
Yeah.
agenda?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, no one else? Then we will call this meeting adjourned.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Don't forget your fertilizer.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.